We're going to first start by looking at New Zealand, where house prices are tumbling quicker than a ring into Mount Doom. What's going on in New Zealand?
Yeah, house prices are still falling, which is interesting. Yeah, so house prices are down. They had a big run up through COVID, and then a correction. And yeah, it's probably like they're down about 10% nationally. Wellington's down about 20%.
Right.
Yeah, and in real terms, so adjusting for inflation, that's nominal prices down about 10 to 20%. In real terms, they've totally unwound the COVID boom, and they're back where they were pre-COVID.
Yeah, right. So when New Zealand was a bit of a canary in the coal mine for interest rates for Australia, is this foreboding for the Australian property market?
It's interesting that it's interesting why house prices are still falling or like flatlining, because the RBNZ has already unloaded 200 basis points of cuts so far. They ran up a little higher than us when they were raising rates. So, but still 200 basis points, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And normally that's enough to see house prices lift pretty strongly. And with those reduced interest rates, you've got lower mortgage repayments, which has brought the affordability, so mortgage repayments relative to income, that's down from around 50% of household income. Mortgage payments were about 50% of household income at the peak. They're now down to just over 35%. So that's a pretty big, and back to sort of historic norms. So affordability's there, interest rates are lower. It's kind of interesting that the house prices aren't lifting. Like if you saw that dynamic in Australia with 200 basis points of cuts, affordability back to long run norms, you'd expect house prices to grow pretty strongly.
Yeah. So what's happening? There's not the house quality deteriorating, where people aren't maybe people are turning their back on home ownership as a thing and kind of saying, well, actually, I'm kind of happy renting. What's the rental market doing?
Yeah, good question. Don't know.
Thanks.
Don't have any charts on that. Yeah. Hey, another good question. Doing a little ding.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what's driving it. It's interesting. It's a question. I wonder if what population's doing. So in Australia we've had sort of quite strong immigration post COVID. Maybe New Zealand hasn't had such strong immigration, so that's taken some of the pressure out of the housing market. I think the economy's not doing great, but then neither is Australia's really. Like we're sort of just plugging along. I think New Zealand's much the same. So I don't think there's a big difference there. There's a lot more houses on the market, which goes hand in hand. So so they were up. Yeah, it's more than doubled in the past 4 years. So it's like 15,000 homes on the market in April 21. That's now 36,000. So there's a lot of stock on the market, which means it's very much a buyer's market.
Right.
And the thing that caught my eye is, so this is from realestate.co.nz.
Right.
Like I think it's like our RIA. But yeah, it's like listing prices down 3% just in the month of April.
All right.
That's massive. Like normally you think about like in Australia, house prices go like 0.2 to 0.6% a month.
Yeah, right.
That's a monthly range. 3% in a single month is like, whoa.
So what do they do? What does the New Zealand government do, or the RBNZ? What do they? I mean, they cut rates. They just keep cutting until things pick up.
No, I mean the RBNZ won't care, technically, because they're an inflation targeting central bank.
Right.
So house prices aren't their problem.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they're like, well, okay, that's not their concern.
It's so cold, man. The RBNZ.
Yeah,
it's not our problem. So deal with it. Aren't you in charge of money and interest rates and stuff? Yep, sure are. Can you help? Nope. Sorry.
You're on your own, Frodo.
Right.
Yeah. And then the government, I don't know. I mean, the government might also say like, well, houses are becoming more affordable, and that's kind of a good thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's worth remembering that higher house prices aren't always a good thing, particularly if you don't own them.
I would think almost exclusively if you don't own them. If you do own them, lower house prices is not a great thing. Right. So what do they do? Anything? I just got to...
I don't know. Yeah.
I feel like we land here a lot with economics. What do we do?
What do you do?
Well, we don't know. We just got to see what happens still for a bit longer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's like if it's a problem, it's not a problem for everyone. Like if you're a big property investor and you own a huge portfolio, this is a problem because your portfolio is devaluing.
Yeah.
That's a problem for you. But if you're a first home buyer looking to get into the market, you're pretty happy about this story.
Yeah.
You want prices to go lower. And if
Assuming
you're a
you didn't
homeowner,
buy when you saw a 2% drop earlier in January.
yeah.
This is my chance. And no, I hope that didn't
And it's
happen.
also the case if you only own one property, then it's kind of neither here nor there, depending as long as you're not getting into negative equity. Because if you have to sell, you're buying into the same market, so it's kind of neither here nor there. So it's only kind of a real problem for property investors.
Right.
And then, so should the government come to the rescue of property investors?
Normally, yes.
Normally, yes. Normally, they would. But should they?
Well, no, but that's never come into it before. We've never had that conversation. This is a new direction you're taking us into.